Agenda item 1 is consideration of the minutes of the meeting held on June 9th, 2023. I'll entertain a motion from the commission regarding the minutes.
Move to adopt the minutes of the June 9th, 2023 commission meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor of the motion signify by the voting sign. Motion is adopted. All right. We'll now have a report from the agency director, Mr. LaFleur, on item 2.
We have a full house. That's good to see. Good to see. And I want to say good morning and welcome to everybody who is in this final meeting of the Alabama Environmental Management Commission for FY23. As is our custom, this August report will cover the department's environmental justice and related activities. The significant American Rescue Plan Act and bipartisan infrastructure law activities being undertaken by the department will also be covered, as well as the status of the long-awaited Mobile Field Office and Laboratory. Finally, we'll go over the process that has been initiated to develop the 2024 update to the Commission's and the Department's 5-year Unified Strategic Plan. Environmental justice is often referred to as EJ and has been receiving heightened attention from this federal administration. The EPA's 5-year strategic plan, this item is second only in priority to climate change and ranks well ahead of clean air, clean water, and clean land. For many years, the Commission has had an ongoing interest in EJ and related activities of the department. It's now part of our regular reporting routine to update you on environmental justice and related activities. Each of the last 3 updates to the Commission's and Department's 5-year strategic plan, as well as the 2024 strategic plan update that we have coming, have clear objectives related to the fair treatment of and proactive outreach to all stakeholders, particularly those in minority and disadvantaged communities. The annual operating plans of the department implement the efforts to achieve these objectives. Environmental justice is related to civil rights law, diversity, environmental regulation, and social justice. All of these fall under the heading of fair treatment. This slide highlights the major milestones in our nation's journey toward assuring fair treatment for all. Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 prohibits the recipients of federal funds from engaging in discriminatory treatment of individuals based on race, color, or national origin. It is the law. ADEM receives federal funds and is therefore subject to the law. In the late 1960s, the movement toward diversity began to take hold as a concept and has developed over the years to encompass the idea of equity and inclusion with a number of initiatives, including at least one presidential executive order related to federal government executive branch employment. ADEM wholeheartedly embraces the concepts of diversity, equity, and inclusion. On the environmental side of fair treatment, in the 1970s, the Clean Air Act, Clean Water Act, Safe Drinking Water Act, and the Resource Conservation and Recovery Act became laws. The state of Alabama, through ADEM, has been delegated authority to administer those federal environmental laws under conforming state laws. The formal concept of environmental justice came about through a 1994 presidential executive order to address perceived environmental burdens borne by low-income and minority populations. Although presidential executive orders are only binding on certain federal agencies, including EPA, in the executive branch of the federal government, ADEM has determined EJ is a worthy concept and voluntarily embraces the EJ Fair Treatment goals. It's worth noting that EPA's External Civil Rights Compliance Office has audited the Department's Civil Rights and Non-Discrimination Program more than any other non-discrimination program in the nation. I'm pleased that each audit determined the program met or surpassed all legal requirements. Today's report will highlight how the Department goes beyond simply complying with the law. It will show that we are going the extra mile to invest in activities to achieve fair treatment for all those in our state. The ADEM Environmental Justice Program continues to incorporate four main goals. First, to deepen EJ practices to improve the health and environment of overburdened communities. This includes engaging those communities in rulemaking, permitting, and compliance issues, as well as employing innovative tools to communicate with all stakeholders. The second goal is to work with various partners to expand our positive impact within overburdened communities. This involves working with our state government and local governments, federal agencies, primarily EPA, and non-governmental community organizations. The third goal is to demonstrate progress on significant environmental justice challenges, particular emphasis in the areas of lead disparities, drinking water quality, air quality, and hazardous waste sites. Measuring actual results is an area where ADEM has been well out ahead of EPA. The final goal is the implementation of the federal initiative to direct 40% of federal program benefits to disadvantaged communities. That initiative is called Justice 40. The federal administration analyzed selected data and developed a map that identifies each of the census tracts deemed disadvantaged for the Justice 40 initiative. ADEM uses this map to track our environmental justice results that you will see in the upcoming slides. Looking at the ADEM EJ program, we begin by highlighting that ADEM has dedicated the necessary human resources to make our EJ efforts successful. EJ coordinators have been designated in our air, land, water, and permits and services divisions. Because of the importance of this effort, the coordinators' EJ activities are overseen by the deputy director. The deputy director meets with the coordinators regularly to manage activities and assess progress. The personnel assigned to coordinate EJ activities receive the specialized training necessary to be effective in their work. The ongoing training often involves EPA-sponsored programs. We have two of our EJ coordinators in the room with us today. Training is an important step in all that we do. In addition to training our EJ coordinators, we formally train each of our personnel in the basic concepts of fair treatment. We begin with the requirements of the law. Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. We are all required to comply with the law, so each employee is trained in the requirements of the law. We utilize an online program initially developed by EPA that is now housed in the department. A formal diversity training program was implemented in 2020. The program was developed at the University of South Alabama at our request and covers the concepts of diversity, equity, and inclusion. As with Title VI, all personnel are required to complete the video training program. In addition to training our assigned EJ coordinators, as noted earlier, for more than 10 years, the department has provided in-house formal environmental justice training for every member of our staff. As of several years ago, EPA did not have an EJ training program. At ADEM's urging, EPA worked with ADEM to develop a formal EJ training program for EPA. Every ADEM employee is required to complete that training program. EPA is now using the program as the basis for EJ training throughout the nation. The department also focuses on results. A recent federal objective is to direct at least 40% of all benefits from federal actions to communities with EJ concerns. As you'll see in the following slides, The 12 EJ program metrics ADAM has been tracking for many years have concentrations of between 58% and 100% in or abutting communities with EJ concerns. Our EJ Justice 40 areas have 58% of the air monitoring sites. This versus 56% last year. 5% of the recipients of special compliance above storage tanks is the same as it was. 76% of our cleanups also is the same as it was last year. 77% of the brownfields cleaned up is up from 55% last year. 77% of the illegal dump cleanups from the Department's Solid Waste Fund for landowners is up from 62% last year. 77% of the fish tissue sampling stations is up from 68% last year. 91% of our water quality sampling stations are in the Justice 40 communities, up from 84% last year. 93% of the assessed water bodies is down slightly from 94%. 96% of the water bodies with total maximum daily load limits is up from 90% last year. 96% of the stream miles with TMDLs is up from 94% last year. 100% of the diesel retrofit grants is up from 92%, and 100% of the non-point source pollution control project awards is up from 98% last year. These percentages continue to trend up each year. As data on the slides clearly demonstrates, ADAM far exceeds the 40% goal in the Justice 40 initiative in those areas where benefits can be measured. In addition to formal EJ training and tracking actual results, the Department also gives extra ranking weight to EJ areas when funding water and sewer projects through the American Rescue Plan Act, bipartisan infrastructure law, and state revolving fund loan programs that I will report on in a few moments. We give additional weight in Justice 40 areas to receive extra ranking weight in eligibility for partial principal forgiveness in the drinking water and wastewater state revolving fund loan programs not associated with the ARPA and BIL programs. Extra ranking weight is given when prioritizing which unauthorized dump sites are to be cleaned up, for demonstration projects in our scrap tire recycling and other programs, and the Department provides extra ranking weight to various grant programs administered by the Department. This is just to name a few. The Department has also gone beyond activities that can be measured quantitatively with fair treatment initiatives such as special compliance assistance to local governments in areas with environmental justice concerns, enhanced marketing of low-interest loans and grants to drinking water and wastewater systems in disadvantaged communities, targeted education initiatives in each area, focused brownfield redevelopment in disadvantaged areas of Alabama, increased community meetings and listening sessions in disadvantaged areas, especially during high-interest permitting activities, and direct mailings to every household within a given radius for high-interest activities by the Department in communities with EJ concerns. The Department is dedicated to fair treatment and proactive outreach to all stakeholders, especially those in disadvantaged communities. Our goals and activities reflect that dedication. Specific personnel are assigned to coordinate the Department's EJ activities. All our employees are formally trained in principles of fair treatment. We use metrics to measure actual results, including tracking where the benefits of the federal programs are received. The Department also focuses on qualitative actions that advance fair treatment. ADAM fair treatment activities are systematic, focused, and results-oriented. These efforts are not mandated by statute or regulation. Copies of a more detailed outline of ADAM's environmental justice and related activities, along with a reference copy of a compilation of the Department's broader community outreach activities, included in a booklet titled Community Engagement, are available on the table in the lobby for review. The booklet is a living document subject to update and input from interested parties. The electronic version of Community Engagement is available on the homepage of the department's website. The reason we put the document online is to provide the public a way to hold the department accountable for its activities to ensure fair treatment for all individuals in Alabama. The American Rescue Plan Act, sometimes referred to as ARPA, and the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, referred to as BIL, are federal programs providing substantial benefits and funds for various purposes. ARPA was enacted in March of 2021. It provides $1.9 trillion. Individual communities in Alabama and throughout the nation receive funds directly from the U.S. Treasury. Alabama state government was allocated $1 billion, with $1 billion available in 2022. In February of 2022, the Alabama State Legislature appropriated $225 million of the first $1 billion of ARPA funds to upgrade public drinking water and wastewater systems in Alabama and assigned ADEM the task of distributing the funds on a needs-based approach. In November of 2021, the $1.2 trillion bipartisan infrastructure law was signed. The allocations under BIL go directly from EPA to the individual state environmental programs over a 5-year period. Approximately $137 million was allocated by EPA directly to ADEM in 2022. In addition to the ARPA and BIL funding, ADEM also had approximately $111 million in its regular state revolving fund loan programs available in 2022 for funding of water and sewer upgrades. All told, in 2022, the department distributed more than $470 million in funding for water and sewer upgrade projects in Alabama. To accomplish this, the department contacted each of the 1,061 public drinking water and wastewater systems in Alabama requesting proposed projects for upgrades. The more than $3 billion of proposed projects submitted were each analyzed from an engineering standpoint to assess the physical plan. The audited financial statements of each system were also analyzed to determine the financial needs of the individual systems. In order to maximize the benefits from the available funding, systems were required to provide a portion of the funding for the projects to the degree they are financially able. Each project was ranked based on the engineering and financial need. The solicitation, needs-based analysis, ranking, and distribution of such an extraordinarily large amount of funding on a very tight schedule was an extremely challenging task. The work was accomplished in a thorough and timely manner that set the standard for the rest of the nation. I'm proud of those in our Permits and Services Division for their truly noteworthy achievements. That was 2022. 2023 is no less challenging. In July of 2022, Alabama received the remaining $1.1 billion of its ARPA appropriation. In March of 23, the Alabama State Legislature appropriated an additional $395 million for ADEM to distribute. Approximately $111 million will be made available to ADEM in BIL funding from EPA in 2023, which is the second year of that 5-year program. The state revolving fund programs will supply about an additional $100 million for water and sewer funding, which will bring the total 2023 funding to about $606 million, up from the $473 million in 2022. For the 5-year period from 2022 through 2026, the funding for water and sewer upgrades in Alabama distributed by ADEM breaks down as follows. $620 million from the state of Alabama provided Alabama Rescue Plan Act allocations, $728 million from bipartisan infrastructure law allocations through EPA directly to ADEM, and $391 million from the ADEM State Revolving Fund programs, for a grand total of more than $1.7 billion. That's a lot of money that will do a lot of good. It also represents a lot of work to analyze and prioritize the projects, distribute funds, and then monitor expenditures. As much good as that $1.7 billion will do, it will not satisfy the nearly $3.3 billion of project requests that were submitted to upgrade water and sewer systems in Alabama. The passage of the Clean Water Act of 1972 prompted substantial investments in drinking water and wastewater infrastructure. Competing priorities have caused systems throughout the nation to neglect ongoing investments to properly maintain the infrastructure. After 50 years, upgrades are needed. This is an historic opportunity to address those needs, and ADEM is the lead in making that happen in Alabama. Now for a report on the status of the construction of our new Mobile field office and lab. As a result of long delays in funding due to red tape, followed by conceptual and final design, bidding, and more red tape before commencement of construction, this project has been more than a dozen years. We are at long last into the final weeks of construction. This next group of slides will be a ground level tour of the facility. This photo shows what the visitors to the building will see from the main entrance off Broad Street in Mobile. This is a view that shows the curvature of the front wall, where you can get an idea of how the shadow will change throughout the day, which is intended to reflect the dynamic nature of the atmospheric cycles. Here you see the front from an angle showing the windows of the offices on the north side of the building and the as yet unpaved driveway and employee parking. The workspaces are under construction. You can see the sheetrock work and a glimpse of the window in one of the offices. The top half of the workspace wall facing onto the hallway will be glass. Moving around to the back of the building, you see a view of the loading docks and the utility and mechanical yard. And continuing around, this is the the south side, looking from the back of the building, where you can see a portion of the driveway that circles the building. The windows are part of the outer wall of the laboratory area. The lab you see under construction here will be state-of-the-art, replacing the woefully outdated facilities we have been dealing with for years at our current location. This final slide is an artist rendering of the building, where you see the curved wall in front, the windows on the south-facing offices, and then the smaller curved wall that marks the beginning of the laboratory portion of the building. Completion is expected mid to late September, followed by furniture delivery and move-in during the next 1 to 2 weeks. Following move-in and shakedown, the current Perimeter Road field office property will be put out for bid, and the lease on the Dolphin Street office will be terminated. Ribbon cutting ceremony with a live tour is in the planning stage. Okay, moving to our final topic, we are now beginning the process for developing the 2024 update to the 5-year Unified Strategic Plan. In 2004, the Commission and the Department initiated the process of developing a 5-year Unified Strategic Plan. In 2009, 2014, and 2019, the 5-year plan was updated. Utilizing the Unified Strategic Plan as a guide, each year the Department department develops an annual operations plan, which is presented to the commission at its October meeting. As part of that planning process, today you will consider naming an ad hoc committee to work with the department on the strategic plan. We are also seeking input from the public and have placed a notice on the department's website inviting all interested parties to submit comments and suggestions for the 2024 Unified Strategic Plan, along with a copy of the 2019 plan for reference. A draft of the proposed final 2024 Unified Strategic Plan incorporating input from the ad hoc committee, the public, and the department will be provided to members of the commission at the October commission meeting when the department's operations plan will be presented. The 2024 Unified Strategic Plan will then be presented for final commission approval at the December commission meeting. That concludes today's report. I'll be pleased to answer any questions that you may have.
Yes, sir. And thank you, Mr. Wolf, for your meeting. I'm glad to hear that there is evidence of making environmental justice and awareness not only to the public, but also evidence of progress and outcome. You noted that there are 2 EJ coordinators. Would you please identify those persons again for us?
Would you two please stand and introduce yourselves?
Jennifer McCord, Patrice Lamar.
They've been on the group for how long, Marilyn?
Jennifer's been on it forever. And Patrice is in the last couple of years.
Okay, so it's a priority. Marilyn Elliott, Deputy Director, is the one who meets with these folks regularly, and we see lots of good results from it.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Item 3 on the agenda is a report from the commission chair, and I have no report. Let's move on to item 4, regarding the establishment of the strategic planning ad hoc committee that Mr. LaFord just referred to. The commission will consider the establishment of strategic planning ad hoc committee consisting of 3 commission members to serve as a work group with ADEM for the 2024 update to the 2019 AEMC-8DEM Unified Strategic Plan. A list of nominations for the Strategic Planning Ad Hoc Committee were circulated to the commission members. I'll entertain a motion from the commission regarding those nominations, which include the following: Kevin McKinstry, Chair. Frank McFadden will also serve on the committee, and then I will serve on the committee. Do I have a motion?
Move to establish and commission strategic planning ad hoc committee and accept the nominations to said committee as cited by the chair.
Second motion.
Any discussion? I'll call for the question. All in favor of the motion signify by raising your right hand. All opposed? Motion carries. brings us to item 5 on the agenda. Item 5 is the Denali Water Solutions LLC petitioner versus ADEM respondent EMC docket number 22-03. I note that item 5 is an acknowledgement for the record of petitioner Denali Water Solution LLC's withdrawal of its request for hearing. I note that on May 4th, 2022, petitioner Denali Water Solutions LLC filed with the Commission a request for hearing regarding ADEM Administrative Cease and Desist Order number 22-070-SW issued on April 15th, 2022 to Denali Water Solutions LLC, 3308 Bernice Avenue, Russellville, Arkansas, operating under ADEM registration numbers BUD 0000-0054 574-21 and BUG 0000-0054-570-22 to cease and desist storage and land application of byproduct materials at Hidden Valley Farms at 107 Hidden Valley Road, Falkville, Alabama 35622. A consent order between the petitioner and ADEM has resolved the matters before the Commission. On July 28, 2023, the petitioner filed with the Commission a notice of withdrawal of appeal, withdrawing its request for hearing. All right, brings us to item 6. Is there any other business any of the commissioners have? Seeing none, item 7, future business sessions. The next commission meeting is scheduled for October 13th, 2023. Are all the commissioners planning to be here?
Yes.
That's the plan for now, huh? All right. That brings us to the public comment period. And today, I think we have 4 people that want to address the commission. I would encourage you to state your name, your organization, or just if you're, private citizen, and limit your comments to 3 minutes. The first I have on the list is Cade Kistler.
Members of the Environmental Commission, thank you for your time. My name is Cade Kistler, and I'm here on behalf of Mobile Baykeeper to address the EPA's recently issued proposed denial of ADEM's coal ash program. I want to consider a case study to understand why this action by the EPA is important to protect Alabama citizens and waters. Right now, Alabama Power is working to close their Plant Berry coal ash pond on the banks of the Mobile River, just about 20 miles north of Mobile Bay in Mobile, Alabama. They have a permit issued by ADEM to conduct this closure. Now, federal and state regulations both require that coal ash closure minimize, eliminate, or control to the maximum extent feasible post-closure infiltration of liquids into the waste. However, in issuing a notice of potential violation to Alabama Power for their Plant Berry coal ash plan in March of this year, EPA notes that approximately 5 million cubic yards of coal ash, that's more than the volume of Bryant-Denny Stadium, will remain in contact with groundwater post-closure. Some of this ash will be as deep as 2.5 feet below sea level. And the EPA goes on to state in that potential violation notice that significant volumes of saturated coal ash will persist post-closure as groundwater will continue to flow into and out of the unlined ash pond in perpetuity, thus ensuring that the ash pond will continue releasing coal ash contaminants indefinitely. Additionally, Alabama Power's emergency action plan does not include analysis of river flooding or coastal flood events in that emergency action plan. And that omission also is a violation of the CCR rule and poses risks to our waterways and the folks that use those waterways downstream in the Delta and Mobile Bay. Those are just two of numerous deficiencies noted with the permit at Plant Berry. Obviously, I don't have time in this 3 minutes to go through that full notice of potential violation, but similar issues exist at sites across the state where coal ash closure is being conducted and has been permitted. Now, I know in a setting like this one, these kind of violations can seem academic, seem technical, but this coal ash pollution is leaking into a vast expanse of unspoiled swamps and bayous and coursing rivers. This is North America's Amazon, as it's commonly known, the Mobile-Tensas Delta. The coal ash pond and its toxic contents loom over Mobile Bay. So this issue has, serious implications for Alabamians who enjoy and live near and in coastal Alabama's waterways and near and downstream of coal ash sites throughout the state. Meanwhile, in neighboring states, utilities are moving away from risky closure of unlined ash ponds on the banks of rivers. Alabama deserves the same prudent safeguards. The fact that ADEM allowed this permit and numerous permits like it with serious, recognizable technical and legal failings to go forward is deeply concerning. Looking at the facts as they are, it seems abundantly evident that Alabama Power's plan to close the ash pond in place was and is in direct contravention of the relevant state and federal rules for coal ash closure. Something that was noted in comments by the overwhelming opposition. And yet the department issued a permit anyway. And that begs the question, why would the department issue a permit in direct opposition to their own rules? That's a question that concerns Alabamians who depend on this department to protect the health of their environment and in many respects the health of their families. And it's a question that I hope is important to this commission to evaluate. In closing, I'm sincerely hopeful that this commission will direct the department to collaborate with the EPA to ensure our state's coal ash program protects our waterways and people. I appreciate the hard work the department's doing, looking at things like sludge being sprayed on fields, giving funds to wastewater utilities that need it to clean up the work. This is another area where the department can continue our shared goal of an Alabama where economic well-being and ecological protection go hand in hand. Careful coal ash management is an important step toward that vision. Thank you for your time.
Justin Overton.
Good morning, y'all. It's nice to see you again. I'm not going to be talking about fish consumption advisories today, but if you want me to, I'll stay after. So my name is Justin Overton. I'm the Executive Director and Staff Riverkeeper at Coosa Riverkeeper. I'm here today speaking for over 3,500 dues-paying members who love the Coosa River for its recreational value, but also rely on the Coosa River for its drinking water. The very first coal ash pond in this state was the Gadsden coal ash pond that was to be closed on Neely Henry Lake. Compared to some of the other facilities, it is a very small pond. But it's important to note that it was not just the first one, but is the closest to a drinking water intake. It is just over half a mile upstream for the drinking water intake for a major metropolitan area within my watershed, the city of Gadsden. So I'm here today to speak on behalf of the people that probably boat by that coal ash pond and have no idea the dangers that are within the waterways that they love, within the property that they've invested in, as well as for their health. So EPA's denial of Alabama's coal ash program is not a surprise to those of us that have been begging for the attention of the commission as well as from the attention of ADEM for our concerns. And the concerns are pretty practical. They are, coal ash is sitting in groundwater and it's leaking. Alabama Power's self-reported data is showing as such. And ADEM did fine Alabama Power for that, and that administrative fine was $250,000 per pond. When you look at Alabama Power's bottom line, that is barely a drop in the bucket. So I just wanted to be here today to express my gratitude for EPA coming in and this proposed denial, because it is really underscoring the concerns from our members as well as from the community at large. That, you know, when we're talking about fair and equal treatment today, the people that rely on our waterways deserve fair and equal treatment. And it seems like consistently this department puts the permit holder over the people. And so I hope that y'all will stay aware and stay tuned for these upcoming hearings, because they are vital to protecting the waterways that are not just economic drivers for this state, but that are also vitally important for public health. Thank you for the opportunity to comment.
Thank you. E.L. McCarthy, the third.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. I bring you greetings from Wilsonville, Alabama, a pretty little town on the west bank of the Coosa River that also, unfortunately, houses 24 million tons of toxic coal ash. Now, I've been here before and spoken before, and not much has changed. I think I recognize all the faces. Mr. LaFleur is still here, and I see y'all are still promulgating this asinine idea that cap in place on an unlined coal ash pond actually works. I've asked the question numerous times. Show me one example anywhere in the world where an unlined coal ash pond can be fixed by covering it up. It's asinine and ridiculous and preposterous. And I guess y'all are doing this because Alabama Power is telling you to. There's no good reason. Maybe cost, but Alabama Power actually raised rates a few years ago to cover these coal ash costs. Mr. LaFleur was talking about meeting and exceeding things in the regs for the EJ. You're not doing that here. You've missed it badly. Okay. I used to, when the numbers started coming out of the wells around the pond in Wilsonville, we had some MCLs that were 2,000% of what was allowed. And y'all sat here and did nothing. I referred to you then as the Alabama Department of Environmental Monitoring, because you just monitored, you just watched and did nothing. But now, if you're adopting rules and regs that are less than what is required by law, you're slipping down into becoming the Alabama Department of Environmental Mismanagement. Maybe even the Alabama Department of Environmental Mendacity. Everybody in this room knows that capping an unlined coal ash pond that sits in the water table, is not going to fix the problem. Now, if I had a bad cut on the bottom of my arm, and I went to the emergency room, the doctor put a nice little bandage on the top of my arm, everybody would say, well, this is the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. It's the same thing here. You know, sometimes if you turn your homework in late, teacher might give you partial credit. There are tens of thousands of Alabamians that would give you a great deal of credit if you would now take the initiative, again, a word Mr. LaFleur used, the initiative to solve this problem correctly and adhere to the EPA regs. The new sheriff's in town. They might enforce them for you if you don't. Thank you.
Question.
Thank you.
Yes.
Don't the EPA regs allow for cap and place?
If it works.
But that's anything.
But it doesn't work. I keep asking that question. Just perplexes me. Everybody kind of gives you a blank stare on that particular question. But you know, it has failed at Gadsden, not the Gaston plant in Wilsonville. But that's just the local example. I mean, everybody else has figured you've got to dig it up. I mean, there is not a single solitary example that I know of where cap in place has worked in an unlined pond. It probably would work, in my humble opinion, not being an engineer, on a lined pond. But I just don't see any chance for it to work, nor do I see any evidence that it has ever worked. Any other questions, comments? I'd love to stand here and have a debate about it if y'all are willing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mike Bolden? Oh, you, okay. All right. All right. Okay. All right, that concludes that, the public comment period. I'll entertain a motion for adjournment. Second? All in favor of adjourn? Say aye. Aye. Raise your right hand. Do something. Thank you.